Well, hi, everybody. This is Charles and Laurel, and we are here with Nick James. And Nick is obviously an old veteran, a young veteran, and he really understands, this idea of really using, what's called a newsletter. And I do want to talk to him about something new that he is doing that I think will be helpful to you, whether you're using our videos or whether or not you're doing, different kinds of things in your online business. And we want to kind of get into kind of what's in it, what it does. Nick, before we get into like the particulars of the newsletter, can you tell us a little bit about kind of how your journey very briefly, and then we'll get into the newsletter.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Firstly, Charles, Laurel, thank you very much indeed for inviting me to be on this little video with you guys today. And you're right, we've got something really special coming up, which I know that all of your subscribers and customers are going to find really, really useful. But yeah, let me just position things just for a second about who I am and the part I've played in online marketing. You're right. I'm a young 48-year-old. I think I started marketing online in my early 20s. My first sale was in 2001, and it was for a licensed product. And I know you teach people a lot about licensing. I know you talk about a lot about video, and that was kind of my roots. So back in 2001, I got the license to a set of 3 VHS videotapes. And this was before, remember, if we take our mind back, this was before real-time credit card processing. If we check when Google came out and YouTube came out and Twitter and Facebook, it was before all that kind of stuff. And there was no real-time credit card processing and digitally downloading videos. The internet was still a silent place. It was very different back then. So we actually physically had to duplicate VHS tapes, put them in padded bags, take them to the post office and put them in the mail to our customers. It was very a slow business back then. And I cut my teeth selling products that I had licensed from other people. I wasn't an expert. I didn't pretend to be. But what it did, it forced me to learn quite quickly how to license products. And it taught me very quickly how to write sales copy and become a marketer. And then moving forwards, once I actually, repeated that process time and time again, and I made my first $1 million selling other people's products, then I started creating my own products. And my first product essentially was a manual teaching people how to make money with licensing. That was the first thing. And then I've gone to do many other things over the years since then in online marketing, direct mail, information publishing, and that kind of thing, and helping people to develop products. So that's where I'm at right now. Now we kind of help people through the products and services that we create to follow in our footsteps and do the same thing. And that's kind of about how this promotion we're running right now happened. It came about because we knew that other people needed so much additional help running an online business, because you've got everything to think about. So one of the things with all these social media channels going on right now, with the Twitter and the Facebook and the Instagram and Threads, whatever that is, and Twitter and all these other things, you need content. And that's what the Internet Marketing Newsletter PLR does. It gives people content to put up over all those social media channels that they can license. They can put it out in their name with a private label rights agreement and start to have content for tweets and Facebook and YouTube and stories and Insta and all the rest of it. And we just talk about what we do in our business, and then we license those articles to other people. So that kind of helps them, because we are creating content based on what it is that we're doing in our business.
Laura, you have any questions? I do have one, if you don't. So let's say that, Nick, let's say I have a membership. And so one of the things I want to do is to kind of keep the people that are inside of those memberships engaged, right? So as some of the folks that we talk to, that's what they're doing, right? They're building memberships. So how do they use this newsletter to keep people engaged?
Well, I think a newsletter, and I know I've branded it as a newsletter, and I believe, back in the day, I used to print these things out and I used to mail them and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's content. And I think the important thing to take notes on and to write down is, if you're in a membership site, you're running a membership site and you want to keep people engaged, I think there are things that you can do to change the modality of a piece of content. So make sure you provide some written content for people that like to read. Make sure you provide video content, because most people, a lot of people, they like to watch and they just want to consume information. They don't necessarily want to read it themselves. Maybe you want to record some audio so that people can just listen to, like a podcast, when they're off doing other things. And being a membership site owner, you have the ability to do all of those three things, and it doesn't really take much more time or effort to convert something that's pre-written as text, and then just to pick up one of these microphones and turn it into audio, or turn on the webcam like we're doing right now, turn it into a video product, or use a third-party service to do some print on demand, and then physically send things through the mail to people. And I know that might sound like a really kind of like oddball idea in today's digital world, but when you think about the amount of competition that is on in somebody's mailbox,
Yep.
against the competition in their email inbox, or maybe their WhatsApp feed is even getting busy. I think sometimes people just want to sit down in an armchair and they want to read something that's physical, rather than just look at an iPad or a tablet or a smartphone or their laptop all the time. So I think there is still a place for physical products. So think of that as a membership site owner. Do you want 100% of your relationship with your members to be digital? Or do you want to be that person that they realize, sort of touches them in a kind of a different way, and thinks, oh, I can't, they wrote to me, they sent me a letter, they sent me a report in the mail. And remember, the customer pays for everything. The customer pays a subscription fee. So, they don't think about these things, but if they receive a report in the mail, that came out of their $47 a month membership, a little bit of that. And what would that do to the retention rate? It would be like, I get more with this membership because they send me physical surprises, presents in the mail.
I think that's so interesting because, I was talking to Laurel about this, and we referenced it. I'm looking at this thing from Russell Brunson and Dan Kennedy, and I just think about the fact that they're in my house. So regardless of what I feel about digital and versus physical, like out of all the other marketers, they are here with me. They're physically with me, and that's something that someone with good content, like that's going to be in your newsletter,
Yeah.
they could really, as you said, they could then take it and then turn it into something and then actually send it out to people. Let's talk about that for a little bit, because I actually saw that as a question inside of a forum that I was in. So what would that take, Nick? If I were to say I wanted to add on, or maybe I want to start a physical newsletter, and then I didn't have to write the copy, or write the actual content, what would I actually do?
Well, the great thing about going physical with anything you do, it doesn't have to be complicated. People overcomplicate things all the time. I love what you said about things being in your house. Before I get into actually the process of actually how you print it and mail it, let me show you one of the most interesting things that we did recently in terms of physical. I've got one here. Where are we? It's a cheat sheet. And this particular cheat sheet is just like 2 pages together. Now, you talk about things that are in your house. I mean, if somebody's got a membership site and they want to send something physical out, this is something that you can put on the wall, right? Mm-hmm. And I would send something like this out, and I would encourage somebody to stick it up on the wall in their home office. And then I'd like them to take a selfie with this poster on the wall behind them. And if they do that, then it's going to unlock a free gift, free report, free video, free something. But what you've got by default here, I call this real estate. I've now got real estate in your home with my logo, my website address, the simplified version of my process. Well, this is retargeting. People pay a fortune to Facebook for retargeting and having front of mind awareness. But what if you were actually on the wall in their office? I mean, I look up here and I've got 5 posters on the wall up here in front of me. So it doesn't have to be expensive. You don't have to print, a huge manual, or a 3-ring binder, and it's going to have that thud factor. It could be quite simple in order to send out a poster or a cheat sheet to someone in the mail. But if you wanted to print something like this that was 32 pages in color, then you can get these done for less than $3 or $4 each. plus a little bit of postage. You send it out media mail for less than $4.95. You've covered the printing and the postage. So if you were to sell a newsletter and you just added the $4.95, shipping and handling to that, right? You're not in the red. You're in the black with it straight away. So customers pay for everything, so it doesn't matter whether it was, $47 for the membership if it's just digital, or $47, plus the $4.95 shipping and handling, then, the customer still pays for effectively the printing and the mailing of this. Now, where would you go for that? Just search for newspaper and magazine printers through Google. Let's look for your area. It could be the fact if you only have a few members, 100, 200, then the best thing to do is to get them shipped in bulk to your house, and then maybe just go and get the envelopes and just stuff them in the envelopes, hand sign them, do it yourself. When you get to a point of which it's over 200 members, you probably want to use a mailing house or a letter shop to do that work for you. So back when I started, 20 plus years ago, I mean, if I had a dollar for every time I hand signed a letter, I'd be a millionaire, more times over. But, then I was happy to do it. These days, I just want to pay for that solution. So go and have a look at these companies like disc.com. Yeah, they do the CDs and the DVDs, but they also do newsletters and books. Go and have a look at speaker fulfillment services. They can print on demand as well. And then there's Lulu, and then there's all these other print on demand companies that will do things. But also Google newspaper and magazine printers, and you'll be surprised at how economical it can still be to print something like this and get it put in the post, put in the mail, as you guys say.
That's fascinating. Laurel, you have anything? One thing I was kind of thinking about is you talked about turning this into kind of a hybrid kind of program and mixing up the two and really enhancing what you're doing in digital by adding in the physical piece. But then what if you were to just take, that kind of content, which is obviously of a little higher caliber, and you just wanted to, let's say, go digital. Let's say that the physical part is a little overwhelming for you. How would you integrate that document inside of what you're already doing? Let's say if you're primarily a video person.
Well, there's different things you can do. I mean, firstly, you can use this as paid content inside a membership site, as we've been talking about. You could also take some of the content that we create in here and use it for your social or to be in social media, or I suppose it's to be seen everywhere. Mm-hmm. And then there's various different pieces of software that you can use in order to make things video. I mean, one of the things that we include with the newsletter is we interview somebody, and we have, with each magazine or each newsletter, we have an audio recording or a podcast that somebody can rebrand as well. Mm-hmm. And what we do as part of the process is we use the piece of software called, I think it's Veed.io or Veedio. Mm-hmm. And we take the audio and it just makes this kind of like audio sine wave and a couple of graphics, and it turns it into a YouTube video. And then, so what we're doing is we're taking content and we're changing the format, and then we're putting it out online. But think about it, you could actually do the same thing with any of the text. Creating the content is the hard part. And it's worth bearing in mind, by the way, whilst I'm not anti artificial intelligence, I'm not anti-AI, I'm not anti-chatbot, GPT or anything, but I'm really proud to say that everything we do in the newsletter is written, by a human being for a human being. Mm-hmm. If anyone wanted to regenerate the text using AI to make it 100% unique or add a twist to it, that's absolutely fine. But it's worth bearing in mind that this is properly written content.
Right.
But then what do you want to do with it? Do you want to use a piece of software to read it? Because there are plenty of AI software solutions that you enter the text and it then comes out with a human sounding voice and you can pick different accents and your dialects, whether you wanted English or South American or North American, or you wanted, Australian accent, male voices, female voices. You can have other software turn it into an audio product. And using those other clever software programs, you can have an animation going on, so you can create video. Or you could maybe even just open up the Word document of the newsletter, turn on your webcam, and with a little bit of practice, without sounding robotic or sounding like you're reading something, you could do a head and shoulders to camera, face to camera style video. So there's plenty that you can do in terms of using this for your marketing materials or your socials, as well as using it as paid content. But there's loads of different ways. Just because it's called a newsletter, don't make it think the only way you can make money with it is as a newsletter.
That's right. One question we get a lot, Nick, is about price and charge. And the thing I always talk about is it comes down to context. And I'm guessing that a person can use the content in different contexts and then charge either as part of something they're already doing, or they could charge specifically for just the new content that you're giving them. I mean, do you have any ideas about in terms of, let's say, pricing that a person could use in different contexts? Maybe just a ballpark.
Yeah. So, firstly, I'm seeing a huge trend towards some of these micro payments these days, where people pay to unlock articles just on various little websites. But there's like pay to read the rest of this article, and it's like 99 cents. There's like a micro payment version of content. At the other end of the scale, there's also the ability for you to turn the whole thing into a video behind a paywall in a membership site. You're charging $47.97 for somebody to be in a membership site. When you talk about in context, I think it's also the way in which you position what you're providing to a customer. So let's say, oh, I have an ebook. People think, oh, well, ebooks should be free. Kindle books are 99 cents or they're free. An ebook is a free thing. Don't call it an ebook. Maybe you don't call it a newsletter. Maybe you don't call it a magazine. Maybe you call it the confidential. Maybe it's the confidential guide, and maybe it's a system, or it's a process, or it's the compendium, or whatever it is. You take the word newsletter or magazine out of your vocabulary, and you can call it something else. So people are sometimes, what I say is, they use a ruler of measurement to measure you by. So if you take away their ruler, they can't measure you by that. You kind of de-commoditize your product. You stop them having a price linked to what it is you're offering, and then you're free to charge what it is that you like. The other thing I say about using different formats is, if you were to look at the idea that somebody would give away a free PDF report, that's a special report, it's a lead magnet. Sometimes people give away those things, and maybe there's 8, 10, 15, 20 pages in a report, and people expect those to be free. But what you might not realize is, if you have a 20-page report, it might take you an hour to read it out loud. It might then make an hour-long video, and then you can have a different frame of reference about how to price that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So again, it comes back to context. It comes back to how you want to frame what it is you're offering. It comes back to the media format that you're offering. It comes back to the context of how you make it available. If it's not, take away those anchor words that allow people to think, oh, well, an ebook should be free, or a webinar should be free to join, So you make it an online masterclass, or you make it an online training module. But you take away the words that people associate with low value.
Yep. Well, Nick, I do want to get into what's actually in what they, what people are going to get, because I know you all put a lot inside of there. And can you tell us what's inside? So when people actually get, the actual package, what are they going to get?
So we're inviting people to join right now during a special offer, just for $1, to try things out, and then they'll get access to 2 issues of these newsletters. Now, I've got a couple here. One is before we did interviews, one is after we did interviews, and this is when we were printing these and sending things out. And by the way, I know there's a guy that you might recognize on here, being Bill Glazer, but my favorite issue is issue 126. Do you know why that is? Because that was the issue that featured a guy called Charles, and he was an amazing guest speaker with regard to his knowledge of private label rights. So we have 2 things going on. We have a 32-page newsletter or magazine. Now, the great thing is that if you're really busy, you can send this out as is, with a white label, no changes. You just download a PDF, you send it out. We don't take the credit for it. It's like a white label. not a private label. I mean, it's like an unbranded thing. It just says like it's the newsletter. The next version we have is a version where you can type with two fingers. You could write in your first name and your last name and your email address. You can click a button and it will put your first name, your last name, your email address, and the title of your newsletter on the magazine for you. So that's kind of like the next level up. The third level up is we give you the ability to edit the Word document in any way, shape, or form you like, make any changes you like to a 32-page newsletter. So you can make more changes. And then the fourth version we do, same content, is we just give you the original Word documents, the black and the white documents to go and put into special software and do what you want with. The other thing that we do is we source images that come from the royalty-free websites where you really can take an image and reuse it for any purpose. And the reason we're really careful with that image selection is because we don't want anyone to get into trouble. So we don't license it from Getty Images or iStock Photo that would give us permission and get you into trouble for using it. We always select them from things like Pixabay, where anyone can just have the royalty-free image. So any of the images that we provide in here, again, you get to use. We've selected them for you as well. So it's a
and Nick, I'm gonna break in because it's important to note even then that even now, even by let's say using AI, you're not necessarily fully insulated from being being charged that you're violating copyright because those issues haven't all been settled just by using AI.
Absolutely. So whilst we're saying that you can use AI if you want to, then obviously you're creating your own images. You'll be taking this existing text that you can use. You'll be getting AI to manipulate it. Then obviously read those terms and conditions and just be aware of all that. But just to highlight that all I wanted to say was the images that we provide, we're getting from places that we know that you can use them without getting into trouble. You go and get something right-clicking and saving it off the internet, then you're going your own way. I can't give you legal advice. I'm not a lawyer, and go that way. So that's from the written content, and it's news and it's resources and it's websites and list articles. List articles are really popular. 101 ways to write a headline, or 63 ways you can do X, Y, Z. So we put list articles in there. We have a feature supplement in each issue, like a big story that goes over maybe 4 or 6 pages. We have the interviews in there from experts. And that's, when you think about it, it's quite huge that we have right now the CEO of Convertry. We've got the guy that's now running Thrivecart being interviewed. We've had the guy, the head of Infusionsoft being interviewed. We're having people interviewed in the newsletter that regular entrepreneurs who are just getting started maybe couldn't put in the call to that entrepreneur and say, hey, will you come and jump on my podcast? So we're also leveraging our relationships to help other people get some A-listers onto their podcast and into their products, which really, really helps. And in addition to that, we've also got for issue 150 that we're working on right now, we've got an extra little private label rights license of 150 reasons why you're going to be successful and you're amazing, and it's going to suit any entrepreneur to put that in with their membership site. So we've got these extra little bonuses that take place and are included in the subscription as well from time to time, little extra bits and pieces.
That's great. Well, what we're going to do, Nick, and people are going to see, they're going to see a link down here. And if you're watching this, it's probably not going to be, it's not going to be this way forever. It's not going to have this, he doesn't leave this out indefinitely. So as long as it's available, we're going to add something to it. And you'll see it down here at the link. And I want to encourage you that, if you're really kind of looking to enhance and set yourself apart, and you're doing a membership or you're doing a learning center, you want to make sure that you're giving it a little leg up. And this is the kind of thing you want to put in there because, again, I think just with what Nick said in the last part, that he's going to talk to, let's say, the CEO of Convertry. I mean, that's going to be of a different caliber of content you're going to see added to something that you're trying to do when you get a newsletter like this. And so, and I don't want to call it a newsletter because he's been he said you can use it for a lot more than that, but it does raise the level of discourse inside of your membership site for your members, and I think that's vital. before we take off, Laura, you have anything? Okay. Well,
There's,
Nick,
there's,
as yeah, go ahead.
Charles, if there's one extra tip I can provide, maybe just as an extra bonus to your guys watching this right now, and that is, I want to say that back in 2004, there was one thing that I believe was momentous as it helped me to make even more money and become even more successful as an information publisher, and that was when I added continuity and recurring income into my business. So I could now start to follow the business model of like the cable channels or the satellite channels or the cell phone Netflix. When you think about it, you make a sale once, and then if you provide good value week after week, month after month, people pay you on tick each month, on a continuity basis. A newsletter or a magazine or a membership site allow you to add that extra level of opportunity to come into your business. Now, this isn't something that we've only just started doing. We're now at issue 150. And when you get inside, there's an opportunity to get all the back issues. But what I want to say was, if you know that like clockwork, another issue is going to come every single month, then actually it gives you the opportunity to maybe like let your shadows go down a little bit, know that new content's coming and you don't have to panic to write new content. And you can add a recurring element to your business, your existing marketing funnel. Maybe you already have a front end and a back end. What if all you did was on one of your order forms, you put a checkbox when there was an order form bump that said subscribe to our newsletter? It's like, I don't know, just try it out, $9.99 a month, and just see what happened. And all you have to do for that $9.99 is like take a PDF and send it out to your list. I guarantee that segment of your email list will become the most responsive segment that you ever mail. And it's another income stream. So I just wanted to take that and give it to you guys. Continuity, recurring income makes such a difference in any online publishing business.
That's awesome. And yeah, Dan Kennedy talks about what present bank and future bank, and just the whole idea of making sure that when you're getting a sale, you're also getting a future sale if you can. Also, just what you're talking about here. Well, Nick, as always, we appreciate you and the work that you're doing, and we hope folks go ahead and get this. I don't do a lot of endorsements anymore. I do a whole lot less of these. And this is something that, I can't stand behind enough. And just because of you, but also, you've taken the time to really describe to people what they're getting. And I think people understand that what they're getting is, of a high caliber, and it's really gonna propel them, with what they're trying to do.
Well, thank you. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to do this. And we want to provide good value all the time. So thank you for getting behind it. We're in it for the long haul. We're in it to help everybody become successful. We always talk about aiming, always adding value, making a difference to people's lives, enriching everyone's lives. And that's what we want to do. So if we give you what you want, we give everyone what they want, we get what we want in return, which is a fantastic work-life balance, and the opportunity to help more people. So I appreciate you getting behind us. Thank you very, very much indeed. And, go check out that link, go check out all the extra bonuses, and go check out what is an irresistible offer on that page.
Oh, thanks. So everybody, thank you very much. This has been Charles and Laurel. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us here. Have a great day and a pleasant tomorrow. Take care.